Always a little hang up there. Good afternoon and welcome to Washington Informer News, WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes. And of course, we are beginning this day to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Today, Dr. King would have been 92 years old. So I want to just take a moment to say that we really are looking forward to talking to some guests later on the show about all of the MLK activities that will be coming up soon. But we want to bring you, as we always say, news that matters. And so we're so glad that you decided to join us today. We will be talking to Dr. William Strudwick, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the United Medical Center here in Washington, D.C. Later, we'll also talk to retired Capitol Hill Police Patrolman Wayne Powell. And we're also going to have an interesting conversation with Ashanti Smith. You may have seen the female security guard who faced insurgents and was assaulted last week at Black Lives Matter Plaza. Well, she's going to talk with us a little bit about that incident today and things that have happened as a result of that. And finally, we will talk with the organizers of the MLK DC Planning Committee, including Reverend Wanda Thompson, Stuart Anderson, and Reverend Dr. Nicole A. Johnson Douglas about the upcoming prayer breakfast, parade, and essay contest and other events taking place this weekend. I don't know how many of you all got a chance to see the United Planning Organization prayer breakfast this morning. It was a great event, short, to the point, but very great way, as they always do, to open up the holiday weekend. So, what can I say? In the first few weeks of 2021, there hasn't been a day of no deaths from COVID-19. And when I say no deaths, the numbers are skyrocketing. And the numbers of people who are getting the disease also are skyrocketing, while there's a lot of complaints going around about people gaining access to the vaccine. In addition, it's amazing how we're still seeing images of black men being arrested during peaceful protests, while white rioters walk freely through the Capitol carrying their Confederate. We're waiting for answers to the questions raised by many who conspired to allow insurgents to violently take over the nation's landmark of democracy, the U.S. Capitol. This city is now on lockdown and will remain so for another week. And we're still covering other news for you that's important to our community. I mean, life goes on, and so we are trying to do our best here at the Washington Informer to make sure that you stay informed. I hope you picked up a copy of this week's issue of the Washington Informer. Of course, I'm in the office, so I have mine here. And you've had a chance to read our latest edition, where we do have a photograph, actually, of our very own Ward 7 council member, Vincent Gray, who got his vaccine this week. And then lastly, I would hope that if you haven't picked up a copy, that you will go to our website at www.washingtoninformer.com, where you can get the digital copy. And while you're there, I have to ask, please, please, please consider signing up, becoming a subscriber online to WashingtonInformer.com. We will be sending you information every week, almost every day, all week, about events happening in the nation's capital. You'll get your digital copy of the Informer, and just information that you can use to make life hopefully better in days ahead. You know, our web staff has reported that the U.S. government will stop issuing stimulus checks payments after today. So if you didn't get your payment, please look, because for some of you all, you may have just gotten an automatic deposit. If you haven't seen it, and I don't know who wouldn't have looked by now, but make sure that you check. But the checks will stop going out today. Our Prince George's County editor, William Ford, spotlights Prince George's County news regarding the new school board chair, Juanita Miller. Want to check that out as well. And you can also find out about scheduled closings next week in the county. So the Washington Informer sadly announces the passing of two of our very, very beloved former staff members and a member of our Washington Informer Charities Board. Mr. Robert Ridley, who was a longtime photographer, Ward 8 resident, loved covering the churches, taking photographs all over the city, passed away about a week ago. And Robin Wilkes, also who's worked for several organizations, including the Washington Urban League, Lon Walls and Associates, a PR firm, and most recently, the DC Department of Housing and Community Development passed away this weekend. So our prayers and condolences go out to all the family members, and they will truly, truly be missed. Up next, our WIN TV news broadcast with Hamil Harris, and then we will be joined by Dr. William Strudwick. Don't go away.
President Trump has been impeached again. 26,000 National Guard troops are now patrolling D.C. for the inauguration, and the COVID-19 death numbers continue to rise, with now more than 385,000 Americans who have passed away. President Joe Biden will become the 46th commander-in-chief in a city now on lockdown. These are just some of the stories being discussed this week on WIN TV. President Donald Trump's fate is now in the hands of the U.S. Senate that will take up the matter next week because the House voted to impeach him earlier this week, with 10 Republicans joining Democrats for the 232 to 197 vote. When Joe Biden does become the 46th president of the United States, he will stand outside the U.S. Capitol and face a city lined with tall fences and military troops. Mayor Muriel Bowser is warning people to stay away amid reports by the FBI that right-wing groups are planning terrorist attacks. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Martin Luther King birthday will be celebrated virtually this year, but local organizers are working very hard to make the event a special occasion. And in sports, even though the Washington football team lost its playoff game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, quarterback Taylor Heinicke played well and is ready for next year. That's it for now. I'm Hamil Harris for WIN TV.
Thank you, Hamil. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date on so much news that's been going on in our community. I mean, yes, that Washington football team, if I can talk about that, how can you have a losing season but still make it to the playoffs? Well, we were able to do that, and congratulations to the team. And it gives us something to look forward to next season. So having said that, I am so honored to bring on now Dr. William Strudwick, as I said, with United Medical Center. Dr. Strudwick, how are you?
I'm good. I heard you talk about my team, the Washington football team, so I was very excited. They put up a good fight. Yeah, I wasn't happy to learn about the political affiliations of our quarterback from that game, but you know, I was very happy with their effort in that game. So.
Well, I always say if we start peeling back the onion, it's a lot of affiliations we're not going to like, but we kind of see folks for who they are and celebrate that, and then other stuff happens. But which is what we're dealing with right now with this COVID-19. I'm so excited because, as we talked earlier, I know about the family that you've come from. I mean, that you're still in the trenches. I know that they would be very proud of you for actually coming to what I would call the battleground of COVID-19 in the District of Columbia. You're here in Southeast at the United Medical Center. Tell us what you all are dealing with over there.
So, clearly, and I think there's a little echo, but in Ward 7 and 8, we have the greatest death rate of any ward throughout the city. So, like you said, this is the battleground. This is where the focus is, and this is where the focus should be. So yes, we're taking care of a lot of patients here at United Medical Center. Other hospitals throughout the city are taking care of patients that are from Ward 7 and 8. But when you look at it, our wards are the wards that are being affected the greatest of any areas in the city. And in terms of like disparities in care, we're the only hospital east of the river. So, I mean, that says it in a nutshell. There's 6 hospitals west of the river. There's 1 hospital east of the river. And we proudly serve this community. But what it means is there's less doctors. There's less pharmacies. There's less primary care. And in addition to that, there's less healthy food options, less gyms, less parks. So all the things that lead to health disparities, whether health care or getting healthy and maintaining your health, there are disparities when you compare where we are to where other areas of the city are.
And on top of that, our business is located in Ward 8. I live in Ward 8, not very far from the hospital. And, there's rarely a night when I'm not hearing either gunshots or ambulances riding through the neighborhood. And I often wonder, with what the hospital's dealing with over there. I mean, I'm sure a lot of those patients are having to go to other places. You're not a Trauma One hospital, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're not a trauma center. So
Right,
trauma
right.
does have to go elsewhere, which, has always been a question for me, that in the area where we do have a lot of psychological, social trauma and other types of trauma, that we don't have a trauma center here. And when I'm looking at what they're planning for the future, there really are no plans for a trauma center in this area. So that's a question that I have about the plans and whether people really have the desire to address the health disparities in our area.
I'm so glad to hear you actually share what have been the feelings and the fight of so many in the community for the last few years. But let me ask you also, the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris had her COVID-19 vaccine at UMC. How did that come about?
Well, I'll tell you. I can't tell you because I'd have to kill you. It's all a secret. But we were contacted. I personally was contacted and was told that she would have some interest. And when I was contacted, I was told that nobody could know. Like I could only tell a very few people. And they also told me that they had attempted to get her vaccinated elsewhere, but it got out, so it was canceled. So that put me on a track of being very, very discreet. So I was able to, me and several people at the hospital, and including of course security and Colleen Daniels, our CEO. We were able to work with the Secret Service and work with her advanced team to get her here. And I think she came here for a couple of reasons. I think number one, she recognized that our vaccine program was outstanding and it's been an unqualified success. And then I think she was also had the desire to kind of be an influencer in this community and other communities that look like ours. And not just in the United States, but internationally, because she does have an international reach. So I think, she was a real servant leader in her thought process for coming here. Of course, she felt safe because our program is fantastic. And then also she knew that she could make a difference as an influencer by getting her vaccine here, because our community is devastated, but also our community is hesitant in some instances to take advantage of getting the virus.
So, I mean, that brings me to a very real question, and there's some conversation. We've interviewed Dr. Reed Tuckson with the Black Coalition Against COVID, and we know that there are medical staffs across the country that are electing not to take the vaccine. Have you seen that at UMC, and is there any reason that they're giving for not wanting to participate in the vaccine program?
I mean, every reason that you can think of, from I have allergies to they're going to put DNA in my body and it's going to alter my DNA, to I mean, just everything that you can think of, we've heard. Now, when we first started with our vaccination program, of course, we were able to develop it and execute it at a high level. But still, within the hospital, we had a lot of people who were hesitant to take advantage of it. We started with about 20%, I'd say 20% of our staff that said right off the bat that they wanted to take the vaccine. But we have progressed from there. So with education, with time, we've given 1,200 vaccines so far here at UMC. And they've seen that people have had a great experience, that they haven't, had any reactions, and we haven't had any reactions, no allergic reactions at all, or any other type of reactions. So now people are saying, okay, this is safe. We know that it's effective. So more and more people on our staff and in our community are coming to get the vaccine. Like we're doing a bustling business in the vaccine right now. So things have changed, and I can tell you the day after Kamala Harris got her vaccine here, our phones were ringing off the hook. So that she actually did influence our community and our staff to get the vaccine.
That's wonderful. So it worked. So I guess you've already answered the question that whether she'll be coming back for her second vaccine. You can't tell me, or else you'll have to kill me.
Yeah, that's not a conversation we can have.
All right. But on another note, and I want to say talk about something else positive about UMC that I heard recently, but that you all have, I guess, in partnership with the National Children's Center, but you have one of the most phenomenal children's, I guess, what would you call it?
Emergency.
Yeah, I heard that you have one of the best in the city. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So we have within United Medical Center, we do have a full service emergency department through a partnership with Children's Hospital. As I said, it's full service. They have a separate staff. It's a separate environment that's conducive to pediatrics, that makes kids, feel like they're in their own place. The leadership is fantastic, comes from Children's Hospital, and they put a lot of effort into making sure that this partnership serves this community for pediatrics. Now, this community is younger than the other communities in Washington, D.C., so pediatrics is certainly a service that we need. So for them to partner with us and create an emergency department that is so at such a high level is just a fantastic thing that we have here at United Medical Center.
So I guess I'll close now, but I'm just wondering, what is it that you would want, again, this particularly people in Ward 8, I mean, how accessible, going back to the vaccine, is it? And at what level are you all now in providing vaccines to community members? I know that, and one other question I'd like to add in, because I heard something yesterday I thought was really interesting about the vaccine and smokers. I don't know if you know anything about that, but if you can add that also about, how this vaccine may impact smokers, but what folks need to know about the accessibility over at UMC. Can they come and get a vaccine, and how does that work?
Right. So right now we're at for the district, and a lot of our vaccine, we have to make sure that we're adhering to the district's mandates. So we've done our staff, we've done community physicians, or we've been open to community physicians and their staff, and now we're open to Ward 7, Ward 8 residents that are 65 and over. And we've been seeing people Ward 7 and Ward 8, some southern Prince George's County, and then some other areas in DC have been coming, and we don't like to say no. If people want to get their vaccine here, we want to get it in as many arms as possible. So, we have been giving the vaccine to those cohort of people, and soon we'll be opening to our staff and their family members. So, appointed family members, not, you can't bring your whole family, but you can choose somebody within your family that you would like to get vaccinated, and we'll be starting that next week. We hope to soon to be able to open up more broadly. Again, we're following the mandates of the district to make sure that we get them to the people that need it the most first, and then spread it from there. But certainly, for us to get out of this pandemic, we're going to have to give it to as many people as possible. So as quick as we can get to everybody being able to get this vaccine, the quicker we can do that, the better. And certainly when we do that, we'll still be here. We'll still be, have our clinic running just, every day except for holidays, and we don't run it on weekends. But we are, we're primed and we're set to have a clinic that runs fantastic in this community. here in Ward 7 and 8 that can serve the whole community.
And can they just show up, or do they have to call and make an appointment? How does that work?
It's all by appointment. It's all by appointment. And at the time that we're ready to open up the community, of course, everybody will know. We'll have a number. We'll have a line that people can call to set up their appointment. And that's the best way to do it, because just having everybody line up is a little bit too chaotic. It has to be done very carefully, because at the time that we give them the first dose, we have to make their appointment for the second dose. So just all the things in the logistics of giving the vaccine. The vaccine has to be handled and managed. The refrigeration is somewhat complex. So because of all those things, we have to make sure that it is controlled, and it is done by appointment.
Dr. Strudwick, thank you so much. We're glad you're over there at UMC. And I shouldn't say over there, because you're just right up the street from us. Right. So we're glad to have you. How long have you been at the hospital?
I have been at the hospital for exactly 2 months. But I'll tell you, I've practiced medicine in Washington, D.C. for 30 years. And I'm familiar with United Medical Center when I was a kid. My father was a general surgeon. This was one of his main hospitals. It was called Caprid's at the time. And so I used to come and the hallways of United Medical Center was my playground to a certain extent. So I've just been here for 2 months, but I've been practicing in Washington, D.C. and well aware of the disparities and the issues and the positive things and the negative things and everything in Washington, D.C. overall for my entire career. And I'm very happy to be here. This is definitely where I should be. When I came here, I found the people here. There are so many people that are hardworking, so smart, so mission oriented. It's a family environment. The staff of the hospital reflects the community, and so the staff of the hospital wants to serve the community. It's about service. And great things are happening here, and I'm just proud to be here.
Well, I've heard so much of what you're saying before, and I'm glad that you have publicly actually attested to the fact of what you've been seeing there. We're really glad that you're there, and our platform is open to you anytime. If you have information you want to share with the community, we certainly look forward to having you back.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right. Stay safe. Thank you. Dr. William Strudwick, Chief Medical Officer of United Medical Center. And it's always good to have, we home folk, it's a DC thing. I don't know if people understand it, but those of us from DC do. And we know kind of the passion that we have for our city that we bring to our jobs, and particularly when we get an opportunity to serve our fellow residents. So glad to have him on board, as well as to welcome Mr. William Powell. We're going to talk to retired police officer Wayne Powell, who was with the Capitol Hill Police. But we're going to stop for a second and just watch this short video. We want to thank our very own Anthony Tillman for recording those videos on our behalf for the Washington Informer, and I'm very happy to bring on former retired officer Wayne Powell. who worked for the Capitol Hill Police. Mr. Powell, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Denise. First and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt condolences and prayers to the families of Officer Sicknick and Officer Livingood. How are you this afternoon?
Doing well, doing well. Since you brought them up, and I think we agree and sympathize with the families of those officers as well. But had you had the opportunity to work with them?
I possibly could have worked with Officer Sicknick, for a few years. He worked on the House side for a while, and I may have spoke with him, and he may have spoke with me, but I didn't know him personally. There's over 2,300 members of the department, so every now and then, you get an opportunity to meet some officers, and sometimes you don't. So I may have spoken with him, and he may have spoken with me in passing, and so on and so forth, like that.
So tell us about your history with the Capitol Hill Police. I know that you've been retired for 10 years, but how long did you serve?
I've been retired for, actually, it'll be 5 years come July. I've only been retired 5 years, and I'm glad I'm retired.
And so,
go ahead.
No, I want you to tell us about your background and how long you worked.
I started with United States Capitol Police in 1987 as a uniform patrol officer for several years, and after which I transferred to what we call the Property Asset Management Division, where I oversaw the property evidence, confiscated weapons as well as property. And my last few years, I worked with the Specialty Detailed Assignments known as the Dignitary Protection Division before I retired. And the Dignitary Protection Division was a division primarily solely to cover security for the members of Congress as well as the senators. And I retired in 2016 after 29 years.
Can you talk to us a little bit about preparation for inaugurations? I'm sure that you probably participated in some of those inaugural events, and because I want to contrast that to, and we'll talk about what we're seeing today. But I mean, were the Capitol Hill Police just ordinarily prepared for inaugural events?
Well, every year, every 4 years we have inaugurations. The Capitol Police, they put out a major preparation for inaugurations. When I was there, we solicit various local and state police, law enforcement departments, as well as the National Guard, to provide a safe and secure environment. Let me say, Denise, to you, the primary mission of the United States Capitol Police is to provide a safe and secure environment for the members of Congress, the properties, as well as the public. That is their mission. So going back to your question, they provide all types of security. Like I said, basically the National Guard, state and local officials when I say state, I'm talking about Maryland State Police, Virginia State Police, federal authorities like Park Police, Secret Service, and a lot of other federal agencies accompany and help out with U.S. Capitol Police during these major events, especially for demonstrations. I remember years ago I did the Million Man March, and we had so many different police departments up there, as well as I've worked some of the Right to Life marches, which consisted of about 25 to 30,000 people. So we were always prepared for crowds of that magnitude, whether it's peaceful demonstration or unpeaceful demonstration.
So when you watched what happened, as we all did last Wednesday, what happened on the Capitol grounds, I mean, what was your reaction?
I was literally hurt. I was in tears to witness my fellow officers getting overcome by demonstrators. Well, I call them actually terrorists. I was really taken back by that. I've never in my entire police career had witnessed anything of that magnitude. So I was really hurt about that. Really distraught about that for a while, because I could never imagine anything of that magnitude happening on Capitol Hill.
But based on your experience and with an inauguration coming up, did you think that they should have been better prepared?
I'll say this, Denise. I think that they were unprepared. whenever there's a situation like that, there's always an outer perimeter that's put in place. There's an inner perimeter that's put in place. So I don't understand what happened in regards to preparation. I solely blame leadership as well as management for not facilitating that. So that's where I am with that particular question, because it was, to me, it was unacceptable, knowing that a demonstration of that magnitude was going to occur on Capitol Hill. And I'm sure you know about on January the 5th, there were several of those terrorists or demonstrators who were getting tours in the Capitol. So this is just my personal opinion. I felt the ones that came into the Capitol on the 5th of January were pretty much trying to, camp out in terms of what to do for January the 6th, in terms of the doors, the windows, what the hallways were. So I think that, this is my opinion, that, they were pretty much casing the Capitol on the 5th of January so they could act on the 6th.
The reaction by a lot of folks has been, if these were Black folks that were planning to demonstrate on the Capitol, it would have been a completely different situation. And not only do they say that, but they use the situation with the young woman who actually, Black woman, who made a wrong turn and ended up whose life was taken away. But in addition, you mentioned the Million Man March, which there were many, many more Black men led by one of the I don't want to say hated, but most controversial icons, in the country, Reverend Louis Farrakhan, but yet it was a very peaceful gathering. So, I mean, how would you contrast the treatment of these, as you call them, terrorists with Black protesters?
Well, I think there's a double standard, Denise. And I think it played out January 6th. I think if the Black Lives Matter movement was up there, they would have had everybody in place. That's just my personal opinion. It was a double standard. As far as, like I said, the demonstrator that came up there on last week, I personally believe that they knew that this was going to happen, and they didn't take the cautionary measures only because they were quote unquote white. But if they were Black, I know for a fact that, there would have been a lot of agencies up there providing security and protection for that. So I believe it was a double standard.
And when it comes to the double standard, I mean, how deeply embedded do you think that is within the department? I know that there have been several, I think it was, over 200 and some lawsuits that have been filed against the Capitol Hill Police by Black officers.
Yes.
How would you describe the climate between the racial climate within the department?
The racial climate, if I were to give it a scale from 1 to 10, it would be on a 5 in terms of racial inequality. When I first came on the department back in 1987, it was only maybe 900 officers on that department, and I think we only had maybe, out of that 900, we only had maybe 12 African American officials. Now, I'm sure that has changed over the years. I think the racial inequality is I think the changes are mediocre, but they've been made mediocre changes, but nothing drastic in terms of racial inequality on the department.
And when you talk about changes, what are some of the changes that the officers are hoping to see happen?
Well, some of the changes that I feel as though the officers, when I was there, in terms of fair treatment, promotions. I know on several occasions, some white officers were not cited, as opposed to some African American officers being cited for an incident that may have occurred on Capitol Hill. The Black officers may have been punished, the white officers were not punished. Things of that magnitude, as well as promotions. I feel as though there should be more promotions within the United States Capitol Police. I don't know exactly the percentage right now of officials from sergeants all the way up to deputy chiefs. I don't know what the percentage is, but I feel as though that should be changed.
Well, that's something we definitely here at the Informer will take a look at. and noting that the commander, resigned,
Yes.
and now we have an African American woman who is the acting commander there at Capitol Hill. Are you familiar with her?
Yes, I know her. She's going to make a great chief if she gets the opportunity to be the chief. She's very poised, very articulate, very smart. I believe she would be a great asset to the department as being the first African American female chief of a department.
And I guess I'll ask lastly, what do you think all of this has done to the department? I mean, a lot of people feel as though this event was a wake-up call for Republicans. It was a wake-up call for many Americans who really didn't believe, black and white and otherwise, that, the country was or is so divided. And I'm wondering, I mean, even though we are finding that some of the officers were supporters of the movement, wearing MAGA hats and taking selfies and all that. But what do you think, just, now that you're an outsider looking in, this whole incident has done to the department?
I personally believe it's uncovered some wrongdoings that need to be corrected. Uh, it's covered some, and I think it's an awareness to the department that the department needs to get on board in terms of racial inequality. But I believe it's uncovered a lot of wrongs, and there's a lot to be done there. So I think there's a lot of wrongs that has been uncovered for the better, so the department can grow.
Wonderful. So, in retirement, you just kind of look through the lens and see what happened. I'm just when you retire, I don't know if police officers really retire, or because your mind is. And you spent what, 20 some years in the department?
29 years.
29 years. That's a lifetime. And so, well,
Yes.
not quite a lifetime, but you know what I mean. It's a long time.
Very long time.
Yeah. So, do you still communicate with some of the officers, and you all still sort of share war stories?
I do communicate with a few of the officers. Not a lot. A lot of them do reach out to me, and sometimes they call me about advice of what to do, what not to do in a situation, only because of the experience that I had up there. So I try to keep in contact with a few of the officers. In fact, a few called me last week, and I was giving them, some advice of what to do and how to handle the pressure in the situation. I'm sure you're not aware of one of the officers that passed away, Officer Livingood. He committed suicide due to the pressures of that job.
Yes, we've heard that, but for some reason, folks aren't really talking about that. But yes. Uh-huh. And I'm sorry to hear that as well, because I know that just this whole year, everything that's come with it has caused a lot of mental health issues with our community, with our country. But now that the city is on lockdown, we've got every major military organization continuing to block off streets further north. I don't know what they're doing south and southeast, but anyway, definitely north. Do you? I mean, I don't know what we should be anticipating, or what we're looking for, or what's going to happen. And people keep talking about a race war. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Not really, Denise. I don't have any thoughts particularly. I hope it doesn't get down to that in terms of a race war. I think that, as time goes on, with the new administration coming, with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, I think a lot's going to change for the better. So I pray that we do not have a civil unrest or a civil war or a race war like that. I don't per se seeing that happen, only because of what had just happened on January 6th. I think it was a wake-up call. So I don't see that. Hopefully I don't see that happening. That is my prayer, that does not occur.
Well, I think we're all are sharing that same prayer, Wayne, and we're hopeful that this too shall pass, and that we end up with a better, not only a better city, but a better country. So, thank you for your service on Capitol Hill, and thank you for your time for spending with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
All righty. Sherry, what did you say, our producer?
bring that captain on.
Oh yeah, we want to get the captain on. The new captain. We're going to work on that, but we're going to give her time to do her job first.
You gotta get the chief on. She's not a captain. She was the
Right,
chief.
chief. Yeah, I called her
Okay.
commander, but yeah, we're going to give her an opportunity to do her thing this week and show that she can lead, and then try to get her on after this dies down. So, but we thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. So, Officer Powell, it was just great hearing that, because we have a lot of thoughts about things that have been happening and their conversations, and fortunately our reporters are out, masked of course, but out trying to get your opinions about what's going on. And I want, if you don't mind, I mean, if you're watching us on Facebook, you have some thoughts about what you've seen, what you've experienced, send us a note. I mean, put something in our chat. Send us an email at news@washingtoninformer.com, because we want to hear from the community. I mean, we've heard a lot of stuff going on out there, and the mayor's going to have a press conference this evening, a security conference. A lot of people are going to be on that call to find out what the plans are for the city. We want everybody to be safe. But it's hard now to know what to expect. And so we want to hear from you. If you have some concerns, some questions, we want to help to get those answered. And right now we're going to watch a video, and then and I should say that it's extremely violent. So this is a disclaimer, just to let you know, it's a pretty hard thing to watch. And then after that, we're going to bring on Miss Ashanti Smith. So that was very hard to watch, and in the midst of that melee was Miss Ashanti Smith, and what we saw was her striking a woman, but we don't know what led up to that, and many of us don't know what happened after that. So, Ms. Smith, thank you, and welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to meet you and speak to you.
How are you doing today?
I'm trying to take it day by day. Watching that again, it kind of has my emotions all over the place, because it does hurt to actually watch it.
I don't know if you take a boxing class, but let me know where you go, because I might want to get in that class too. But having said that, and I don't mean to take that lightly, but tell me what led to that punch? I mean, first of all, before we go there, everyone in the district knew, based on warnings by our mayor, not to go downtown, not to leave our homes. How did you end up? Where was this? On Black Lives Matter Plaza, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you end up there on that day after all the warnings?
I actually work in the area as a SPO, a special police officer. I do security in the area, so I was on break at the time that this actually happened.
And what caused you to just want to venture out into this crowd?
I normally do it on my break. I just go out for a fresh breath air, and I encountered the protesters, and I encountered this situation. So.
And what led to this altercation?
I was initially approached by Miss Annie Lorenz, and that's the person that received an assault charge on me. She approached me and she asked to be my friend. I seen that her and her friends were heavily intoxicated. She offered me a drink and she just kept asking to be my friend. She then proceeded to ask me who I was there with. I was confused what she was asking as far as, am I here by myself or my political views? I told her I was there by myself. She asked if I was with Trump. I said no. She said, so you're with Biden? I said no. I feel as though we're doomed either way. So she said, you're Antifa. During that time, it was a large crowd screaming and chanting F Antifa. I wasn't aware of what she was calling me. At that time, I was on Instagram Live on my phone. So I questioned and asked her what was an Antifa. She wouldn't tell me what it was. That crowd proceeded to storm the police barricade. I started to walk off and away from them, trying to go to the other side of the barricade for protection. At that time, they started screaming racial slurs, saying, hang the N, hang the NB, all of them deserve to die, kill them, we should kill her. They began to try to take off my mask when I requested them to stop following me or getting in my personal space because due to COVID. So they tried to snatch my mask off of my face. They tried to take my phone out of my hand. They tried to take my keys and my other phone out of my pocket. I didn't know if they were trying to rob me. I did question them, were they trying to rob me? When I was trying to protect my phone or defending her from taking my phone, the other gentleman that is seen trying to hit me once I defend myself against her, he was actually already assaulting me prior to that incident. So the police had wound up seeing this. They pulled me to the barricade and told me to stand by until the crowd walked away. Once they felt as though that it was okay for me to leave, I left. This same crowd literally targeted me and surrounded me with more people. I was pulled from different directions, my clothing. I was assaulted from different people. I was yelled at with racial slurs. They're still trying to pull my mask down. They're just saying, screaming everything at me. And someone had actually spit on me moments before the video that you all are seeing. And a lot of people don't realize that that is my second encounter with this group of people. So I defended myself as self-defense as she's grabbing my mask. I'm trying to walk away. They kept centering and closing on me. They would not allow me to leave. So I defended myself with one punch. I did not want anybody to think I was down there as an aggressor or anything of that nature. And I do not promote violence, but I am against hate crimes. So I hit once and I stepped away from the crowd and tried to back away out of the situation. I was then hit from one of the people that were with her and dragged to the police line by 3 gentlemen. I was then assaulted by her sister while I'm being pulled through the police barricade. I then get maced and escorted behind the police line. One of the police officers demanded that I left from behind the police barricade. He said that I could not stay there. Other officers told him that it was okay for me to stay there. I couldn't see. I lost one of my shoes, but he demanded that I left. So I had to leave back and walk back to work with no vision, one shoe missing, back into the same crowd that just assaulted me. I didn't have a police escort, and he just pretty much had no moral support or anything, not even moral. He didn't have any regard for my safety at all. I had to walk back to work. I went to work. I cleaned myself up because I was heavily drenched by the pepper spray. Less than an hour later, I got off. I asked the first police barricade if they knew where my belongings were. They said it was okay for me to go get my belongings. Once I did get to where the barricade was, where this incident happened, they told me that I was a victim of a hate crime, and they asked for my information. There were multiple officers around that confirmed my information and everything that I was telling the detective. Less than 5 minutes after I gave him my story, I was placed under arrest without being read my rights. And I was just told that I was on video. I didn't even see the video, but I was told I was on video and I was arrested for assault.
And what about the assault charge against the woman? Is she still facing an assault charge as well?
So the woman that actually attacked me once I'm being pulled behind the police barricade, she got charged for assault against me. The woman that I am hitting or seen hitting in self-defense in the video, I got an assault charge against her. I don't believe that she has been charged or the other gentleman that is seen hitting me as the video is going.
So I'm sorry that this happened to you. Were you in uniform?
I was in uniform when the situation first happened. Yes, ma'am. I was in uniform. When I went back and I was placed under arrest, I was not in uniform because I had to change my clothing just due to having so much pepper spray on everything.
So clearly, this blue line that they talk about didn't apply to you as a Black person, a security officer. You don't have the same protections and a Black woman as well don't have the same protections. I mean, what's happened since then now? I understand that, you've been out, you've gotten quite a bit of support. You lost your job. Is that the case as well?
I have currently just been told that I'm suspended pending investigation without pay. So I have started a GoFundMe, and my GoFundMe is for legal fees and just to keep me afloat while I'm unemployed and not receiving an income.
How are you? I asked you earlier how you're feeling, and you were responding basically to the video, but emotionally, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Emotionally, it's been a lot. It's hard to kind of eat and sleep. All of the support that I am getting is helping me push through because I now see that it's not just my fight and it's bigger than me at this point. I have received threats via social media, emails on my cell phone. I'm not sure how they got my cell phone number, but I have been receiving threats. My PR, my lawyer have told me to kind of stay off of social media. They've been taking over. So I'm not sure how many I have got, but I have seen some personally. And I'm in fear for my life. I don't know who is actually there to support me, who may be out to harm me. So that's what's my mental all over.
Yeah. There's conversation now about, one, the city has been locked down. They've got all these, everybody all around blocking the Capitol and neighborhoods around the Capitol. But I'm wondering, how Black folks in general are feeling about this. I don't know if you talked to folks. I don't know if they are taking your incident seriously or personally, and whether people in this community, because there's some reports that this, may become a race war, which I'm not sure what that means. But you're in the midst of it. You got a chance to hear some of the words that people used against you. What is your feeling about where we are right now, and compared to where it was before that day?
I think before that day, it was already like extremely disturbing just how a lot of people react to certain situations, and a lot of people they're just trained or raised in the wrong mindset. So just experiencing it myself and, growing up, listening to how our people were already treated, and just to experience it myself, it was very devastating. So I don't know how else to explain it, but it is it's just disturbing to actually go through it and still people having to go through this issue years later.
And I understand, and that's why I thought I would ask, because it's almost like history repeating itself, and this kind of danger doesn't sort of protect anybody, whether they're male, female, even a child, because a lot of them had their children out there with them on that day, which was astonishing.
Yeah, I would definitely want to say I want everybody to be safe and just be protected and just go about things the right way. Don't go out looking for issues. Don't go out looking for violence, because that's what they're expecting from us. We have to change the whole narrative on how they're looking at us. We don't want to seem how they just judge us. We need to show them better. So don't respond to them with violence. Don't give them what they want. Make sure you're protecting yourself. Make sure you're staying safe in the correct way.
Shanti, I'm so glad. Those are some great closing words, and I think a great message to our viewers. Um, we've posted your GoFundMe page. We will be following your story. Our door is always open to you. We hope that, this turns out well for you, and that, you can kick, hopefully, that security job to the curb and go on and do some greater things, because evidently there's a calling for you. So I just want to thank you for being with us.
I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and to everyone, and I appreciate all the love and support from everyone. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. You take care.
Thank you. You as well.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a story. And I'm glad, really glad that, it wasn't any worse, and that she is here to be able to share that experience with us. So, where are we going next, Chevy?
To the parade.
Because I'm shaken by that. Yes, today, January 15th, as I said before, Dr. Martin Luther King would have been 92 years old had it not been, and that's what I'm saying as it relates to Ashanti and so many others, for the hate that led someone to assassinate him on April the 4th, 1968. But Dr. King's legacy lives on. We have so much to celebrate because his work really did help to change some things, at least some laws in America, and the minds and hearts that bring the forces that really wanted to see change in this country, brought them together. And so we're hoping that that will happen again. But we're starting right here in the community, right here in Ward 8, with some of our folks who are planning not only our MLK essay contest, a prayer breakfast, our MLK parade. Normally we have a humongous parade out here in Ward 8. Last year we had about 100 and some odd groups marching up Martin Luther King Avenue. Well, we knew back in September that that was not going to happen this year, only because of COVID and because the inauguration was coming. Little did we know what was coming with it. And so we made a decision back then that we were going to do virtual events. And I'm so glad to bring on board Reverend Dr. Nicole A. Johnson Douglas, who is working with the Mayor's Youth Leadership, the Marion Barry Youth Leadership's essay contest. And so are we bringing her on now, Chevy?
Oh, we were going to do the video.
Let's go to the video. We'll be right back.
How many groups were in this parade? How many?
About 200.
The parade this year is one of the best parades we have had in so many years. I like the diversity of it. I like the fact that they opened up parade to other jurisdictions, and I hope it continues.
And what's your name?
My name is Donnice Young.
Wow, such great memories. Welcome, Dr. Douglas, Reverend Thompson, and Stuart Anderson. I tell you, the boots that make this parade and this peace walk happen. Stuart, I'm gonna start with you really quickly. I mean, because you and I have been kind of what do you call it? Batman and Robin, or co-chairs of this event for a few years. That goes back way before we even started it, when Dr. Calvin Rolark and Wilhelmina Rolark, former Ward 8 council member, and P.D. Green first launched the MLK parade back in, was it 1978.
78.
Yeah, so we've been doing this probably for the last 14 years. Can you talk a little bit about the fact that we're doing virtual events and what they are this year and the theme and all that and grand
Okay.
marshals?
So definitely. I'm still kind of shaken after Miss Smith's kind of whole piece, right? I posted early today one of King's quotes about, I've decided on love, over hate, and I ponder that as I listen to her talk about what she went through. It's kind of hard to be able to do that, but we have to. So what do we have going? First, let me say, doing this piece virtually is I think a lot difficult than what we've been doing over the last 14 years. Having to focus on this in a whole different manner. But we've pulled it together, and I think it's going to be phenomenal. I believe that we are going to hear people say, as we heard in that video, that short video, this is to be another one of those best parades. So what do we have? We have 9 phenomenal grand marshals, and most of whom are frontline workers. That means they've been putting their life on the line in the midst of this COVID pandemic. And then we have a few of our community activists who continue to pour themselves into the lives of not only people here in Ward 8, but people across the city and in the region. We have a couple teachers, we have firefighter, and I encourage people to go to, for the sake of time, I encourage you to go to MLKHolidayDC.org. That's MLKHolidayDC.org, and scroll down on our homepage and look at all of our grand marshals. Click their picture. When you click their picture, you get their story, and you get to hear them respond to this year's theme. This year's theme is "Now is the time." Now is the time. And so one of the things that I've been saying is that now is the time to pay it forward. And then I phenomenally hear that this morning during the UPO breakfast. I heard Senator Cory Booker, talk about paying it forward. And I'm like, the universe is great. The universe is in line. So we got this great essay contest. The young individuals who are involved with and their leadership with the Murray Youth Leadership, they took hold of our essay contest and they have really brung it to maturity. And so at 6 o'clock tonight,
Stuart, before you go there, because since we have Dr. Douglas online and she's going to talk about the essay contest, you've just given her a great introduction. So let's go to her real quick. Dr. Douglas, welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us about the MLK Holiday Essay Contest.
As Stuart has already alluded to, this year we are excited about the essay contest and how our young alumni of the Mayor Barry's Youth Leadership Institute have taken this on as a mission and a project to have our young people's voices heard. This year we did go with the theme of the actual weekend, Now is the Time, but we encouraged our young people to explore how their power and their power of influence can change both local and national items in social change and social justice, honing in on the pandemic, digital divide that's going on in our city and in our nation, and anything that they felt the need that needed to be discussed. And the important thing about this year is that with the young people's essay, we asked them to provide action items that could be taken on by our city government and passed on to other people. So what we will do, and we have committed as the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute Alumni Association, is providing each of those actionable items to the respective council members, respective congressional members, and respective agency heads, so that our young people's voice is heard, so they can see that they definitely has power in their influence. I will say that even though this was virtually, we had 96 young people to submit entries in this year's essay contest from all 8 of our wards, from both public school, charter school, and private school. So I am so excited that tonight at 6 p.m., we're going to recognize all 96 of our young people and encourage each of them, and also announce who our first, second, and third place winners are. And these were young people from grades 5 all the way to grade 12.
That is phenomenal. That's fantastic. How will people be able to see this? Have you figured that?
Yes, people can go on to the MLK holiday website. That's still already lifted up. And there is the Eventbrite link there. They can click that, and then they will be sent a webinar link where they will be able to view in on our program for tonight. I am excited that all 3 of our first place winners will read their essays tonight. So you will get to hear it from our actual young people. And I will say I'm excited because we have winners that represent our entire city. I won't say who, but we have winners from Ward 8. We have winners from Ward 1. We have winners from Ward 4. We have winners from Ward 6, Ward 5. And so I'm just excited that all of our young people are having the opportunity to participate in such a time as this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That's fantastic. And we're going to move on real quick, Stuart, because what's happening tomorrow morning?
Pastor Thompson, tell us about the prayer breakfast. Are you muted, Pastor Thompson?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Well, let me say we got a phenomenal. There you go. Pastor Thompson?
Pastor Thompson, Can you unmute yourself?
It's in the center screen down.
She got it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, tomorrow we have the annual MLK prayer breakfast, which will be from 9 until 10:30. And we have a great program, a great event planned for you. We have several community leaders and public officials who are going to be bringing greetings. We have our youth mayor who's going to weigh in. We're going to have interfaith prayers and prayers throughout the prayer breakfast. We'll have a couple of musical performances as well. And then we're going to have Reverend Dr. Christine Wiley, who, along with her husband, were the co-pastors of Covenant Baptist Church. She now heads up pastoral clinic. She's going to come in the anniversary message. So we're really looking forward to that. And again, we're going to have prayers throughout the breakfast, interfaith, and we're just looking forward to a great time in the Lord.
Thank you, Reverend Thompson. And it's always been a great time. We always had a great prayer breakfast when we met together. I was excited, that we've got other churches, we've got other faiths that are participating. So it should be a great program. And I just want to thank you so much for all the hard work that you all are doing in making sure this event is a success. Stuart, if I can get you to just run down quickly some of the other events. Of course, you told people to go to mlkholidaydc.org, but still give them a preview so that they'll go ahead and push that button.
So also tomorrow at 1:00, some of our young people will be pulling together this conversation. This conversation is going to be an ongoing conversation, and it's reimagining public safety. And so this will be the first in the series. You got to catch it. You got to tune in. We're going to get a really good look at that. The next thing that we're going to do is on Sunday, and that's at 1 p.m. if I didn't say for tomorrow, the conversation. At 10 a.m. on Sunday, Covenant Baptist Church has always devoted its service to the life and legacy of Dr. King and invited us to partner with them and really talk through a whole process of just honoring King, lifting King up, and making sure people see a holistic view of Dr. King. So you should tune into that. And again, go to the website and you'll find the links that will allow you to view all of these activities. We're going to, on the 18th, it's showtime. On the 18th, we're going to have a virtual parade. And so before the virtual parade, though, we really want to be able to have a day of service. So we're going to be cleaning up some of the side streets along the MLK corridor. We'll rendezvous at MLK and Malcolm X Avenue, right where King and Malcolm meet. We're going to meet right there, and then we're going to give out assignments and send people in different directions because we are in COVID. And we do not play with COVID. That's why we're not having a physical parade. We do not play with it. So we're going to social distance. We're going to disperse. We're going to be told where to leave the bags of trash. We'll collect the bags of trash later. The other things that's all going to take place is Martha's Table has been one of our phenomenal partners. Let's say come on this side of the water. And so they will be out with us, and they're going to give out some food. We're going to spread them out because we don't have them all bunched up together because we want to make sure that we're doing our part to fight this COVID. But we also we got to provide some mutual aid and help the people. And that's right in line with the thoughts and ideas of Dr. King. The cleanups that we'll do, like I say, they'll be spearheaded by Ward 8 Woods and our Coast Guard friends who always come out and support us. We also will have Black Swan Academy. It's going to have 2 locations, one here in 8, the other one will be in Ward 7. And Black Swan Academy is going to give out some necessary stuff to some of our most needy people so they can come on by and get things as they last. Coats, hats, gloves, some toiletries and things of that nature. And community connoisseurs, we will have them up the street on MLK at 3117, right in front of the Washington Informer's office. The community connoisseurs will be doing a similar thing with the coats, gloves, and hats and things of that nature until they last, and hopefully make sure that people are warm through this winter. The last thing that I want to say is that at 4 o'clock, so our virtual parade will run from 12 to 1, we be done. Then at 4 o'clock, WJLA ABC 24/7 will run it. I guess it won't be an hour, but it'll be within that block of news time from 4 to 5. They're going to run a special remembering Dr. King. And so that's our lineup for this year's the 2021 commemoration of the life and legacy of Dr. King.
I want to thank all of you all for being on today and sharing that information with us. We'll get back together after the fact. I'm just in closing, if I can just give each one of you all a moment. I don't know if what the Spirit may tell you to say, but something related to our theme. And so quickly, I'll start with you, Dr. Douglas. Now is the time for what?
So now is the time for us as a city to come together because as I have been saying to our young people who are helping with the essay contest, that there is so much unfinished work to be done. There's unfinished business to be done. And so now is the time for those of us that have had the chance to do this work, to pass the baton to the next generation, to train them, to equip them so that they can move forward, to bring our city to where it needs to be. Now is the time for our clergy to come together and not just come together for a handout or come together to ask the mayor for a resolution and things of that nature, but to come together to really be what we are supposed to be, a faith community that is seeking to help those who are the least, the last, the lost, and oftentimes the left out.
All right, Stuart, now's the time.
Well, she wrapped it all up, and that's what I meant by paying it forward.
All
that's
right.
what it's about. It's
Okay.
about now is the time to pay it forward and give it to the next generation so that they can keep paying it forward.
Reverend Thompson?
I would say that now is the time to watch, to pray, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God.
Thank you all so much. Now's the time to say goodbye to another edition of WIN TV. Thank you for being with us. Thank you all for watching. We want to see you back here this time at noon on Friday. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your relations. Now is the time. See you next week.